Well, as we continue to get reaction to this year's State of the Nation address, the presidency will today brief media on the president's public program. Key issues arising out of the president's SONA address were solutions to the looming energy crisis, the national state of disaster brought on by the energy crisis, and the intention to introduce a new Minister of Electricity in the presidency, as well as plans for a social compact to tackle unemployment and poverty. Well, let's get some perspective now from ANC veteran and political commentator Omry Makgoale. Omry, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us via that telephone link. Very quickly, let's get your reaction to the president's SONA address. We've heard critics talk about how it's been much of, promises, a regurgitation of things that we've heard before. But what are your thoughts?
Yes, first let me say that the president is the most experienced member of ANC leadership currently. He has been in the leadership position of the ANC since 1991, somewhere there, when he became the Secretary General. So all these problems that have been happening from the time of President Mandela, President Mbeki, President Zuma, up to now, he is aware of them. He saw those problems as a member of the NEC. So ideally, he should be having better ways of solving all these problems because he has seen the problems being created. I would say that the main issue is what will he do differently now that has not been done in the past 8 years? What will he do differently that has not been done in the past 8 years to make sure that he restores electricity, he restores the rail infrastructure and all those things. So I don't know whether he's got the personnel, the team, to achieve what he wants to do, and whether also he's clear in terms of the plans on step by step what must be done to restore the electricity. But I think he's the most experienced person, so he really has got no excuse because all these problems, he saw them in front of his eyes.
I mean, your response is a little confusing, Omry, to be quite honest. I mean, you talk about the experience that President Ramaphosa has as a leader within the African National Congress, but at the same time, you raise the concern of the advisors that he's surrounded himself with and the sort of uncertainty and lack of clarity that he's been able to provide South Africans as we're plunged into the midst of this energy crisis. So which is it? Is he an experienced leader with the foresight and ability to take this country forward? Or is he someone who's simply listening to advisors, to proxies who are essentially leading him astray?
Look, I think in the past, he has been watching things going wrong in front of his eyes without acting. Some people, of course, were saying that he's waiting for his right time when he can act, when he's in charge. And he has been in charge for the last 5 years. This will be the next his next term. I never say that he needs to act. He needs to act decisively in terms of addressing the problems of electricity. Whether he is aware of the complex nature of the problem of electricity, because it's problems everywhere, from the coal supplies, from the maintenance philosophy inside ESCOM, the management inside ESCOM power stations. It's an octopus of a problem of some sort. So he needs to be aware, and he needs to deploy the right people at the right places. And I don't know whether he has identified the right people for the right places. And I don't know whether this Minister of Electricity that is coming will be the person who is competent, with the know-how, and with the personnel understanding of ESCOM in the various power stations, the big power stations where most of these problems come from, because of poor maintenance in the past, and because of operation the coal supplies with rock supplies in terms of coal, and all those problems. Those are the problems that are on his table. Whether he's got the personnel to tackle them, I don't know.
Right, and I think a lot of South Africans are in a similar position where they honestly don't know what to make of what's happening in government. Talking about a lack of foresight, I think we can both agree that, for a leader to lead a country such as ours, they need to have, credibility and integrity. But this issue of Phala, which of course was raised last year, carried out through much of the year, through the December elective conference, and was something that resurfaced surfaced as he tried to lay out his vision for the country for the year 2023. Clearly, this was something that he should have nipped in the bud before this address. And undoubtedly, I think it did hurt him as he tried to lay out that vision.
Yes, the Pala story is a very unfortunate matter for the country. But for himself, he knew when this thing happened, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, according to Mr. Fraser. And when that happened, he should have been aware, that this is a problem of law, because if you keep money in your place, in your mattresses and so on, without taking it to the bank, it's something that is not acceptable in terms of law. And for him as the president, he's expected to lead by example in all things that he's doing, because he's number one citizen. As number one citizen, he's expected to show the way in all other categories of behavior and conduct.
If this is supposed to be the opportunity for the president, Ntate Omry, to, as I mentioned, sort of lay out his vision for the country and also give South Africans a sort of a preview message of what the ANC hopes to do if they are voted back into power come general elections next year, how would you rate his ability in doing just that? We know that the next 15 months is going to be a hard campaign trail for the ANC to try and win back the confidence of voters who have lost confidence in them as a governing party, but to also gain additional voters as they try to retain power. Did he do enough to convince South Africans that he as the president and his organization can actually change and turn things around?
Yeah, I think the speech alone does not do enough. The speech alone does not do enough. The key issue would be what he does practically in terms of addressing ESCOM problems. When the people see that there's improvement on load shedding, that the stations are now maintained properly, are no longer, maintained in a poor way, and the electricity is generated from the station, and there is emergency electricity supplied to the factories, and the jobs are starting to be created. The railway must be functioning properly, running properly, to take the workers from their former townships to the working areas. Those things must be done practically. And when they are done practically, the people, the ordinary citizens will see that. But speeches alone are not enough. It's the action that is going.
Oh, unfortunately, it appears we've not.
That will determine whether the ANC has got any better chance of improving on their votes on 2024. The actions. He has to act and show the people and do the right thing. It is the actions that will tell the people, not speeches and declarations.
Well, Ntate Makgoale, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us this morning. That's ANC veteran and political commentator Omry Makgoale, giving us a sense there of what he made of the president's speech on Thursday.